So as we get started, a few things. Thanks, everyone's learning the rules, right? Thank you for muting yourself. Because I'm screen sharing and still letting people in and all, it's hard for me to see you when we're talking. So do put your questions in the chat. So as we go along, we can ask questions. We'll also have time for questions. But if you can put your questions in your chat, that will help me better manage questions as we come along. So thank you all very much, and we'll get started, and I'm sure folks will keep coming in here. But I am going to get started on my first of 3 Zoom presentations here today. Okay, get in our slideshow mode. All right, climate change challenge, just do something. That's our theme for today. It's the good and the bad news, right? There's a lot that needs to be done, but the good news is there's a lot that can be done in our daily lives and our monthly, weekly lives with League. And our hope today is to share some tidbits with you, but as always, as part of these lunch and learns, I do want to, to remind folks our big opportunity for us here is sharing with each other. So I'm very excited about that. Before we get started, I see Maureen Scaglion here. Maureen, I wanted to call you out because I believe you just won an award, did you not, in your Richfield community? Can you unmute yourself? I'm putting Maureen on the spot.
Yeah, I had to plug in my iPad, so there's no way to be in front of the camera.
That's okay.
While it's plugged in, so I will not be on video, but I'll be on audio.
Okay, well, you're from Richfield, yes? Our Richfield League?
Yes, I am. Yes,
and we just saw that they awarded you a nice award for your community participation. I wanted to congratulate you.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw the article or not, but I did praise the League very heavily in the article.
Yes, you did. It was very kind, and we just want to say thank you for all your hard work there in Richfield, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, back to our program here. So, Climate Change Challenge here today. Thank you again for being part of our new training series. We started with our August Academy, and now we have our January Jumpstart, which was meant to be just that, kind of a jumpstart back into the year after the holidays. For us, it's really getting back into the advocacy role here as the session kicks off. So we are taping all of these. All the slides you will see will be provided, so you don't have to furiously take notes if you don't want to. And the chat content will also be made available to all of you. So hopefully you can share with us today, and we hope to learn a lot. So first of all, we want to talk a little bit just about our climate change task force. We started with a small but mighty group of 8. And actually our list of people who have signed up to be part of the climate change task force is now up to 815, which is really, really great. We have probably 20 to 30 people that participate in our meetings. So I've asked Carol Stoddard, who's been a fabulous leader in that group, to please share a little bit about the climate change task force. And I'm gonna also stop presenting for a minute and go to that part on our website. Go ahead, Carol.
Hello, everybody. Really great to see this group, and really fabulous to hear that there are 800 people who have expressed an interest in the climate change task force. So I wanted to share how and why I got involved. When I retired, I was darn determined that I wanted to do something to stop climate change. This is a world I have not been a part of. I've been part of a nonprofit world, but environment and climate change was totally different to me. I didn't know where to start. I did a lot of exploration and found out that there were lots of organizations that would be happy to have me donate money, which is important, you know, funding is important, but the options to actually roll up my sleeves and get involved were really limited. And then I joined the league and saw about the climate task force. And this has just been exactly what I'm looking for, because not only do I get to do things myself and clarify my own thinking about what I can do, but I can also be involved in helping motivate other people and other groups of people to take action to have an impact on climate change. And one thing I've learned on this journey is that the league is really highly respected. So for us to be engaged in any activity really says a lot to the larger community about the why and the what. So that's reinforcement about how wonderful the league is. So thank you for letting me be part of this, Michelle.
Yeah. Well, we're very excited, and you know, the reality for us really is that we can only take action on things as to the regard we have members willing to sign up and be part of it with us. We have one full-time program staff, who's Nick, and Nick Harper, our civic engagement director. So we are very focused on democracy, but our ability to move forward our climate change interest and agenda is made possible because of all of you. So we also have a huge partnership with Minnesota Environmental Partnership. And all of this you'll find on our website, which is quite robust with resources and ideas and events and Zoom recordings. So please take advantage of that when you can. So we also have another great opportunity within the league to learn and to participate and act with our participation in the Upper Mississippi River region. And I've asked Gretchen Sable to be here today to talk about that.
Hi, I'm going to start sharing my screen here. So I am the communications director for the Upper Mississippi River Region ILO. And ILO is like CMAL. We're used to CMAL here in Minnesota, where it's a group of leagues come together and form kind of a Uber league on specific purposes. The Upper Mississippi River Region, we have some 80 member leagues. So leagues are members, not people. Leagues have joined our ILO, and they stretch from the headwaters up in Park Rapids and Bemidji all the way down the river to Iowa and Illinois. We have members in 4 states, and we focus only on environmental issues relating to the river. So you're looking at the website here. I will, let's see. If I go to, you see at the top here, if you go to About Us, one of the things that we have is, come on, oops, sorry, I need to use my pointer. Sorry. On the Contact Us page, you can sign up to get our newsletter. And our newsletter comes out monthly. We tie it into posts on our blog, and we also talk about things that we have coming up. So when you look at our blog, you'll see that there's a lot of articles here where you can learn about nutrient loss reduction. This is where we're working with the Farm Bill, the federal Farm Bill, to try to reduce the loss of nutrients, because really it's the Farm Bill that shapes how people farm. And so if we can help to shape the Farm Bill, then farmers would do a better job of things. So we have articles here. You see, we have an upcoming workshop on February 7th where we're going to work with, this is kind of like a game simulation where you can learn about climate change, the En-ROADS Climate Change Workshop. So this is an interesting thing. Our president is from Iowa, and she had taken part in that. Here's one from Minnesota. We were contacted by this fellow who is on the Citizens Advisory Committee for Flint Hills. And so we kind of have a variety of things that we cover. And when it comes to climate change, we do also have the soil carbon. We focus on soil carbon and things like that. So certainly I would urge you to get our newsletter. and to make sure that your league belongs. I think that's pretty much all I want to say. So thanks.
Great. Thanks, Gretchen.
Yep.
It's exciting. Another part of these intra-regional, inter-league organizations where we're able to work and find the power with other local leagues. We're also part of a Great Lakes Compact, I believe, too, that works together. So, and all of that is also linked on our Climate Change Task Force page. All right, so I am going to go. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I see Kay Slama is here. Kay is a board member. She's from LWV
Yeah.
Wilmer. So
Great.
hi, Kay. Good to see you here. Thanks.
Thanks. And Kay is like, yeah, our official kind of link, right, between LWVMN to the UMRR board. So indeed, thank you, Kay, for your leadership. And you have a long history in working in this environmental area as well. So it's fabulous. All right, so we'll go back to our slideshow here.
I was under the impression that Gretchen was the main link, but I'm pleased to link as well.
We like to bait and switch all the time, Kay. Hey, will you do this? And then you find out, wait, I'm leading what? You know. No, it's all good. So I wanted to start off then, that gives you a little bit of context, right? The league does care about climate change, and we will talk more too about the LWVUS position on climate change, which is quite strong. And but I wanted to share with you then sort of what we're talking about today. And this was a quote that came from a great New York Times article, and in this very interesting climate scientist, some of you might know, Catherine. And hey ho, but as she says here, the reality is that more than 70% of people in the US already are worried, and people know we have a problem. So the biggest problem is not that people who aren't on board. The biggest problem is that people who don't know what to do. And if we don't know what to do, we do nothing. So let's start by doing something, anything, and then talk about it. Talk about how it matters to your family, your home, your city, the activity that you love. Connect the dots to your heart so you don't see climate change as a separate bucket, but rather a hole in the bucket of every other thing you already care about in your life. Talk about what positive, constructive actions look like that you can engage in individually, as a family, as an organization, a school, a place of work, or I would say as a local league. Add your hand to that giant boulder, get it rolling down the hill just a little faster. And I totally love this. It just gives me chills because I feel like it's what the league does all the time with democracy. We are just part of that giant boulder, keeping things and being a role model for what it looks like, right, to do effective democracy. And in this case, to be actively involved in climate change. So that is the kind of theme for today, is what the heck do we do? There's lots of choices, and we want to help people work through that. So one of the things our climate change task force talked about is how can we help our local leagues move the climate change boulder along? And we came up with the idea of having a climate change challenge, which is we would have kind of open up this opportunity for leagues to sign up, to say, yes, we want to be part of the challenge. And they would have ideas for what their local league would want to do. And it may be what your league is doing now. We'll hear from some leagues. Certainly some leagues are very active in climate change reduction right now. But we thought it would be great to have ideas due by Earth Day, and we're going to help you learn how to have ideas that really do reduce our carbon footprint. And then we would have some sort of financial support to allow that would be followed up for people, and announce those leagues that would be available for that support on April 30th at our council meeting. We're currently talking to some possible donors about supporting that and just giving a little bump to local leagues like we do with our students. We have our youth civic engagement. We provide small stipends, but it's really helped local leagues to participate in that. So we'd like to use that same model here, where we would provide some, modest but hopefully helpful funds to challenge your local league to do something for a year and then come back and tell us what happened at the convention. So we love to work together and challenge climate change. So we wanted to start today first, however, with kind of, before we look at more of some of these other ideas, is to talk with some of the people who are really involved already and hear from all of you in your local leagues and learn more. Often at the state, with 35 leagues, we just don't know all the things that are going on out there. And I love opportunities like this where people can come forward and share what they're doing in their local leagues. And so I have asked Sherry Hood from Roseville to kick us off with what's going on in Roseville. You've been doing some interesting things, and I'd love for you to share that.
Well, thank you. And please let me know if I go on too long here. Thank you, Michelle. Great to be here. We started it's actually an environmental subcommittee under the Action Advocacy Committee in our local league. And we started an environmental subcommittee about 4 years ago. And we kind of started out not knowing what we're going to focus on and that type of thing. But what I'm going to talk about today is two entities that we focused on. And one is the commission here in the city of Roseville. Our local league has 5 cities incorporated in our league. So one is Falcon Heights, Lauderdale, Roseville, Little Canada, and Maplewood. So Maplewood seems to be holding their own. They're doing quite well progressively regarding the environment and carbon footprint. But Roseville, which is the second largest city, was quite a bit behind. They had the Green Steps City and Green Steps program, and also Soul Smart, but that was about it. So we focused on in Roseville, it's called the Public Works, Environment and Transportation Committee, which encompasses a whole lot. So before we made much of any input as a league, there really wasn't much, as far as I know, I didn't attend, much to talk about regarding the environment in that particular commission. But we were focusing on making a difference there in that particular commission, and also with the Roseville School District. I think it's 626. I can't remember. So, so we did advocate with the I'm just going to call it PWET, Public Works, Environmental and Transportation Commission, and we were focusing on making a difference there. So we have, since 4 years, we have. About 2 years ago, over 2 years ago, we had suggested speakers at their commission meetings. So we helped bring in a representative from St. Louis Park who is on their staff. Her job is totally focused on the environment. And so she came to speak. This was in January, about 2 years ago. And also we were hoping that the commission would invite Excel's Partners in Energy program. So they must have listened to us. So in January of 2020, they invited them over, and they were both excellent. And what happened from that is that the city of Roseville adopted the Partners in Energy program. And from that, they developed what is my notes here, the Energy Action Team. And actually one of our members on the subcommittee is on that committee. It's a community advisory about what's best for Roseville, what are our priorities for energy reduction. So we did make a difference there in terms of speakers and moving the ball forward I think your quote, Michelle, was about the boulder.
Right, exactly.
So myself personally, I think that a lot of this can be done locally because you can focus more, and the audience will learn more from it versus having a wide, like the state of Minnesota League of Women Voters is great. Those are broader issues and something different, but on the local level, I think that we can get a lot done. So this is what our subcommittee focused on. And then with the Excel, or excuse me, the Roseville School District, they were proposing putting in a new community education building and tearing down the old one. And we went to one of their meetings and we brought in a solar company spokesperson from a particular solar company. And we advocated for that at one of the school district meetings. And we also advocated for when they tear down the old building, Fairview Junior High School is what it was originally, built in the early 50s. When they tear that down, if they could reuse, recycle some of that material in that building. So what happened as a result of that is that the new building, which is right across the street from me, has solar panels on the roof, and it also recycled 50% of the old building into their new building. So this is what you can do. And also we brought in a Green Corps member. I don't know if people are familiar with Green Corps. It's part of the AmeriCorps program. And we brought in an intern into the city last year. He was there for about 9 months, and it cost the city nothing. So that was good. And it was paid for by AmeriCorps, his salary. So that was a positive thing. And then I know just recently they have hired, the city of Roseville has hired an intern who has done wonderful things regarding what to do with energy in the Roseville area and our priorities and things like that. So that is good. And of course, the city pays for that. But she's an intern. She's, I think, working on her doctorate at the University of Minnesota. So she has really inspired the rest of us. And we also put our little subcommittee, there's 8 members. We have a newsletter, like you all do, a monthly newsletter. It's called The Voter, and we put in an article about the environment every month. So if you would like a copy of those, or if you need to get a hold of me or have any questions, I'll put my name and phone number in the chat line.
Thank you, Sherry.
Yeah, and one more thing. We do have a program in April of every year, the subcommittee.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And last year we had a panel of mayors from the 5 cities who we talked about their environmental programs and stuff like that. Where are they at? What do they propose to do? That type of thing. And we'll review that 2 years later, which will be next year. So, it's kind of fun. I highly recommend it. And, you start out from scratch and you just kind of work your way up. And a lot of the people in city governments, small city governments, they have so many things to focus on, and it really helps to support them regarding speakers, different programs, all sorts of things like that. So I highly advocate for doing something on a local league. What you can do.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, and it's a perfect setup. Yeah. All those ideas, there's several lessons there as we go through this. And thank you so much for sharing, Sherry. And when you look at it again, the point is we all have local governments that really are looking at how they can adapt and respond to climate change. we'll talk later in the program about the cities who have just declared a climate emergency. And we'll talk a little bit more about the Green Step cities. But I think that is such a great opportunity for League. Just as Sherry said, it's not that people, and the article said, it's not that people don't care. There's just a lot to take on. And so when League comes forward to help advocate for something, it really can make something happen in the local communities. So it's not always starting from a blank slate, but starting from the slate of what's happening now in our community. What do we have a climate change advisory group? Where can we plug in? What questions can we help answer? What education can we do? So thank you. Very good. Also, I will say the other one is Duluth. Of course, Duluth has been extraordinarily active for really for decades on all things environmental. And on the slide deck, I put their link to their Natural Resources Committee. And that is a very simple place to start. Like Sherry said, you have a subcommittee for either climate change, natural resources, and that's what Duluth has. They have I think that's a great way to get started, is to pull a couple of people together in your leagues who are really interested and concerned and can help you take that ball forward. Does anybody else want to share anything they're doing in their local leagues specifically? If you do, I can now see you could raise your hands. Maureen, I see you raising your hand. And if you can turn on your mic again, Maureen.
Yes. We've been very active in the city of Richfield, and maybe it's 3 years by now. We got organic recycling going. Three of us were on a committee that got organic recycling going, and we advocated, and the city hired a sustainability specialist. And the upshot of the whole thing is not only did we get organic recycling curbside, but we now have organized trash, and that's environmentally friendly too. So our next project is going to be working with the city and the Sustainability Commission to put on a sustainability fair in 2023. And we've got a list of vendors, everything from solar panels down to using beeswax sheets to cover things instead of plastic. So that's our big project. Our 2-year study, which is now a 4-year study because of COVID, is to reduce the carbon footprint of Richfield.
Wow.
So that's what we're up to. And we know there's a green group at the high school. So we want to get them with partners, and obviously partnering with the city. But since almost all of our city council is League of Women Voters members, we're going to be pretty good at getting things through.
And that's another way to get things done, right? Get league members on the council. Maureen, that is just really, really great, wonderful information. Thanks for all your hard work there in Richfield, because I know you're a small group, but oh my gosh, look at all those accomplishments. Wonderful. Anyone else want to share anything they're working on in their local leagues? And if things come up, pop it into the chat. We'll have a time at the end to continue that. All right, I am gonna now find all my things here and get back to our sharing. Okay, so let me go back. So again, we wanted to now take some time to talk about other things that people have talked about, but I think, again, you're gonna hear this theme. The theme is, and you know, when it comes to advocacy, we at the state level will be working on those state bills, right? The governor's got some bonding dollars he's looking at. There's going to be a lot happening around legislatively, and the state will be working on that. So again, but the things we're going to work on are those things at the local and individual level that still make a difference in doing just what Maureen Lovely said so lovely, is just to how do we reduce our carbon footprint? And we know this is one of those areas where even our individual actions can help that boulder move along. So one of the first things that someone suggested was conduct a climate conversation. And there's a great resource here with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which helps you frame up a climate action conversation. I just love learning about all these sites, but for those of you doing programming, they have a whole guide, they have questions, things that you could engage your local league on or your wider community. These would be great. It's just great program ideas, again, to get your community or league talking about climate change. So that's a great one right there with lots of great resources attached to it. The other thing is this is an idea that is a quick idea. There are many things that really we can do individually. And as we find those things that you can pass along. But the Divest Minnesota is pulling that up. And thanks again, a shout out to Lynn Marcus and Gretchen, who found a lot of these for us, these great ideas. The Minnesota Divestment Coalition, which is designed to try to take the state pension funds out of things that are fossil fuel related. This is something you can just go to take action. You can sign on as an individual, and we're actually going to bring it to our board to look at signing on as an organization. So these are the kinds of things too that you could offer up in a newsletter to say, hey, if people want to take action right now today to make your voice heard on climate change, they can log on here and let their voice be heard. Sorry, every time I move around, my little thing keeps bumping. Here we go. Okay. And then again, we heard a lot about the examples we've heard today, I think are just so instructive around working with your local government units. They are our watershed districts, our cities, our counties are all doing something around climate change right now. And watershed districts, this is a great link here to show you more about, in terms of if you don't know about watersheds or aren't connected, they all have money and dollars to do public education. They're great to partner with. They're often, doing projects too, where the league could perhaps help them with regards to public engagement. So check out where your watersheds are. Those are great projects. And one of the projects overall across the watersheds has been this challenge for watershed districts to develop climate resiliency action plans. This is an example from South Washington Watershed District about their climate resiliency plan. They held workshops back in 2017, 2018, and came up with a climate resiliency plan with recommendations for what to be working on. And what I like about this is, again, when you're thinking about advocacy, it's really easy. The first step is to ask questions. So for example, leagues that are part of the South Washington Watershed District, if you look at Watershed District's resiliency plan, the first thing you could do as a committee is to say, let's have a meeting with our watershed and find out how they're doing. This was 2018, it's 4 years later. Where are you in meeting your goals of your climate resiliency plan? So again, just those simple questions often about where are we, what are we doing, asking those questions, and then how can we help is just a great way to get started. Another piece, as you were just hearing Maureen talk about too, with regards to organic recycling, we talk about composting, which is really, recycling our organic material. And we had a great program that Gretchen Stable organized for us with MPCA about that really talked about the high level of carbon emissions that come from our used food waste that goes into landfills. I think all of us were shocked. We think of, oh, composting, it's a nice thing, but it's actually a very, very key element that all individuals can do to truly reduce carbon emissions. And I've asked Carol Stoddart to talk about that because you had a great experience with that to share, Carol, if you would.
Yes, because I attended that webinar that Gretchen organized, and it really opened my eyes. I had absolutely no clue at all about the impact that organic waste had on the environment, and it really inspired me to take action. I live in St. Paul. I live in Highland Park. The St. Paul Ramsey County currently does not have composting. So I did talk to my district council about it, found out that we are actually there is a compost drop-off site. So I am now composting, thanks to the league. And I'm also encouraging all my friends to do the same. I did some research and found out that there's at least one other league that has done a composting project. And if anybody wants that connection, I can surely save it. And I found out that there are all kinds of resources online. And we've got a great resource in the Climate Change Task Force with Lynn Marcus, who has worked on this whole issue professionally. So this is one of those wonderful things that is tangible and it's measurable. It's doable.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carol. And I kind of togged over to one of the links you have here. Again, reducing your wasted food challenge. Our RD and our PCA, Pollution Control Agency, has a lot of great resources, again, that could help you within your local leagues to organize these types of programs, which is very exciting. So another thing that's doable. We like doable things. Okay. Next is also building a program around other educational offerings. We have, looking here for this. Okay, see what we're doing on time. So there are so many, again, with Zoom, the advantage is there's so many great programs out there that you can build on. And these are just like literally 4 great links to any one of these Zooms and resources where it's a great program you can do yourself without having a special speaker come. On our league site, we've been recording a lot of the Zooms we're doing. So we were just talking about compost. Well, this Twin Cities is bulging with trash. This is where this all came from. Here was the moment of reckoning for Carol. This is all here on our YouTube. We recorded it. It's on our YouTube channel. You could now preview this and you could show it on your own as a program for your local leagues. And so lots and lots of great resources here for you to consider. If you've got a lot of people who maybe you're a community where people are really interested in pesticides and pollinators, working with the master gardeners, the master gardener program is amazing. And there are people who will talk to you. There's lots of program opportunities there. Climate and weather. Again, the University of Minnesota Extension program is just robust with great resources that you can build around any programs you might want to do. And I love the YouTube videos. It's like a ready-made program. Hey, come out, let's watch Mark Seeley. I mean, I'd watch Mark Seeley talk about anything, right? These could be really cool things that spark conversation. If you remember from that quote, what Catherine was saying is, we want to do things, but then let's talk about it. Let's feel how this relates to our life and let's act from there. So these are just all really tangible things we can do right now. One other thing I wanted to draw your attention to was Oh, I'm trying to link on that one. I've got so many windows open here, but another one you can link onto is that tying the environment and climate are to our health. Again, that is a big issue and another good one that people would perhaps in your communities be interested in. Okay, so we're going to talk, and I know there's some questions coming in. I'm going to kind of go through these and then we'll get to our questions. But one of the things you heard about, again, we talked about being involved at the local level, but one of them is the Green Step City. What step is your city on? And the PCA, again, Pollution Control Agency, has this program called the Green Step Program. And cities can join in. It's a voluntary challenge for them to help them, achieve sustainability and quality of life goals. And so you can find your city here. You can look at your city and you can find out where your city is at. And I think part of it is that's what's exciting right here. If you go to all cities, if you lived in Barnum, you could say, wow, we only got to step 1. That would be a good question then to ask your city. Why are we not? How do we get to step 5? So this is a really great program to look at and build onto for your advocacy. Yeah, Kay is asking too about, we are sending the PowerPoints out. So don't worry about having to get all of this, all these links and everything will be to you in what we send out after this event. So we love that as well, the Green Step Cities. We talked about earlier on this notion that the climate change challenge, again, the following cities have declared a climate emergency. So if any of these are cities you all live in, it's a great time to reach out to the city. It means the city itself has recognized and discovered that we've got issues to solve. And I know would be delighted to have local leagues stand alongside you. And lastly, I wanted to also put out this climate change toolkit. So the LWVUS really did update their position several years ago, calling for prompt action to curbing our emissions and really see this as a serious threat facing our nation and planet. So we do have a strong position to advocate on as state and local leagues. There's really no, we're all in agreement here, like with our democracy. We know our climate needs us. And they have an amazing set of resources on the website for the LWVUS. Their toolkit also can help you totally build programming. They've got all kinds of ideas of grassroots action. They've got carbon footprint calculators, just more information than you could take in. So this is a great resource for you as well, looking at how to bring climate change into your league's programming. All right, so I now want to stop sharing for a minute and get to some of the questions. And if you have additional questions, keep them coming in the chat. And I'm going to go back a little bit here. And also you can raise your hand because I can see your hands now. So yeah, the newsletter for UMRR, the Upper Mississippi River Region, you can get to that sign up on our Climate Change Task Force website. And Gretchen also put it again on here. And Catherine Hayhoe, who we were talking about, who this wonderful climate scientist is going to be at the Westminster Town Hall Forum this Monday, the 31st. I did not know that. So that is great information, Jane. Thank you. She would be worth seeing. Those are all virtual as well. Sherry Hood has put her information on here too. Catherine's put a link to the Westminster Forum. And so that's all in the chat. If you guys want to pull any of those notes out, we will provide them. But if you want those sooner, that's a good time. Marty's saying Hennepin County mandated that all garbage haulers provide curbside organics pickup in Hennepin County. Some cities have decided to opt the whole city into the program, which gives them SCORE grant money. So that's awesome. Ellen sharing from Woodbury, Cottage Grove, since I've been doing organics recycling, I can't believe how much trash volume has been reduced, even for one person. So, and Mary Jones provides a great link for One Watershed, One Plan being done by the Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources. So, yes, and Lisa Fitzpatrick in Duluth, yes, LWV Duluth has really supported the declaration of climate emergency in the Duluth area. So LWV is, again, not a surprise to us, but sometimes, like in Richfield, I didn't know about all the Richfield work. So I love these sessions for hearing about that. So any other questions or sharing of local leagues that you want to do at this time? I can see if you want to raise your hands on your screen or on your participant list there with your little reactions. You can put a raised hand or in the chat. Anyone else? I see Cheryl Bailey's added a book club, that their book club in LWV St. Paul are reading Sir Richard Attenborough's latest book, A Life on Our Planet. That's another great idea, a book study. Kay Slama.
The Wilmer League is starting a tree planting initiative. Actually, I wasn't involved with that, but I sure am now. We're coordinating with the Soil Conservation Service and possibly several other groups, including the church, or what they call it, creation care groups and things like that, that various churches have. So trying to get a load of trees planted, and every tree is good for the environment and the climate.
Great, and you actually got a grant to help you with that program. I know because the grant organization called me yesterday, Kay, so LWV Wilmer will have some money coming your way. Thank you. Anita. Anita Gilly.
Hello, everyone. Up here in Duluth, where it's 40 degrees warmer than yesterday, which we are happy about. It's still only 20 degrees, but I'm not sure if Lisa has her hand up, but I wanted to make a shout out to Lisa Fitzpatrick from Duluth. Lisa was instrumental in getting the climate declaration in Duluth. And a big piece of this is that we have worked hard to make sure city councilors are either members of the league or we are lobbying those city councilors. We also passed a bag ordinance. We were a big piece of that, and it took a lot of work. And unfortunately, the people that were really involved in that aren't on this call, but I learned a lot from those individuals. We partner with a lot of the organizations here to make these things happen. We also, composting is part of what Duluth does. And it's a, you know, because of Lake Superior, we have some additional support there as well, but that is an area that we could work harder on because we don't have it in a neighborhood setting like it sounds like Hennepin County has. So I just wanted to do a call out from Duluth. I happen to be in Wisconsin at the moment at my cabin, but nice to see everyone.
Wonderful. Yes, and Duluth has really provided some serious leadership to challenge everybody there. So thank you so much for reporting on that. And I am going to say too that as we go forward to try to sort of launch this challenge, Carol Stoddard and Kathleen Doran Norton, who's been really key to leadership here, is not on the call today. She have to be in another call, but we're excited about the possibility that what if we could track all of our effects and the emissions and have a big barometer of how much over a year we were able to reduce carbon emissions through our actions. Because as I hear all of these things today, there are ways to measure these things, right? Some of them are real, some of them are a little more anticipatory of what you hope will be affected, but there are real measures and metrics. And that's something we're hoping we could do. Wouldn't that be fun to see if over the course of a year, how much we could work together to reduce the carbon footprint here in Minnesota? So we're excited to hopefully inspire some thinking today for you to start to have some conversations in your local leagues. It doesn't have to be anything huge like you've heard. And it could start with just a few of you getting together, making some changes personally, sharing those with others. It could start out with an education program, just having a meeting with your city. That's a simple first step. Hey, where are you, city? On the Green Step program, tell us more about what we can do. That is another great thing. Cheryl's asking us, how about Minnesota League's role in urging state legislators for climate-friendly policy? Well, we do have several people from our climate change task force signed up to be part of our lobby corps, which will kick off on Monday. So we're excited about doing what we can to advocate at the state level around all kinds of favorable policy. But another thing we are doing, we have a special intern supported by a league member to help us look at the possibility of creating a climate note, much like a fiscal note that would go along with bonding bills. We likely won't have all the mechanics in place, but we're partnering with Minnesota 350, and there is some example of this out in Maine. So we're doing some research now. This intern will really be looking at how could we look at the climate impact of our bonding bills? Wouldn't that be an interesting opportunity? So we're thrilled to be using our interns in that way too. People talked about interns. It's another great way to have that intersectionality, right, about our work with young people and youth. Youth are very worried because they have a longer time on this planet than all of us here. And so it's a great way working on climate change also to involve all kinds of younger people. These are issues of real concern. So that's another advantage of really working on these issues, is pulling in young people, interns, fellows that can work with your league on these critical issues. So I really will be encouraging folks to continue to share these with us. We will share your successes with us so we can continue to give a shout out to all of you about that too. Kay Slama is saying another climate change book, Kim Stanley Robinson, Ministry for the Future. Half stories, half education about everything on earth that affects climate. Very good. All right, so as we wrap up, any additional questions? So I'd love to just does anybody have just give me a quick little show of hands, or, if you feel like, wow, okay, I have a few more little tidbits to move forward in my local league. Is anybody good? So that's what we hope to do. And if we can continue to help you, again, our climate change task force is so on top of it. We've got a lot of really great people willing to help us out. Our state legislators can also help cities, absolutely, to do more climate initiatives, lots of advocacy possibilities. So I want to thank you all so much for taking time to be with us today, and go find something and compost it, right? I feel very challenged by that now. So I'm like, okay, it's time to get that compost bin going and keeping it away from my rabbits. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to learn today. Take care. Bye-bye.